I come from a single mother. What I would say was we were definitely in poverty. There was no money for school or anything. I had to put myself through college. I had to pay for my own first car. Money was definitely very much a struggle. And I thought the only, as far as I would go, would be like to get a 9 to 5 job and buy a regular home, you know? And where I stand today, I have over 3 million in net worth and I own two properties, both by the ocean. And it's fantastic. But I had to understand that wealth wasn't just for the CEO of a company, whoever you envision as that person. It's a white middle-aged man, it's whatever that vision you have is like, oh, they could build wealth, is try to dismantle that as much as possible.
Welcome back to the Power and Purpose podcast. I'm super excited for today's guest. We have Shannon DePalma. She's a financial coach, mom, and the Ellie Woods of budgeting. She's the creator of the Romantic Money Method, helping six-figure women build wealth with ease through strategy, YNAB, and deep self-trust. Shannon, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me on. I can't wait to chat more about this, especially with your audience. I feel like your audience might be people who maybe shy away from the finances, but I will have an approach that will make it seem really approachable and easy and fun.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. And that's why I'm so excited to have you on because you're right. And we're not, this is like not a judgment statement, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the conscious community, spiritual community, it's just, it feels like a heavy energy. Money feels like a heavy energy if we feel overwhelmed or if we're just busy with other stuff or we don't know alternative ways or we haven't rebuilt our relationship with money. So that's why I've been super excited to have you on.
Yes, I have an approach that works with a lot. A lot of my clients are very much about horoscopes, manifestation, intuitive readings, being witchy, even. Like I've had all of my clients resonate with being that part, like with having that part to them that they're interested in or they're into. So you're in safe hands here listening to this. It won't be something that will completely bore you or scare you or intimidate you, or you just want to zone out and not listen to this. I promise it will be like an approachable method for you. Like you're going to want to listen to this.
So I have a signature question that I love to ask, and it's who are you and who are you not?
Oh my gosh, I really like this question because it's like, oh, everybody wants to answer like this. I am this person. I have this career and I have this thing, right? But asking it is so much deeper. Like, who am I? Like, I really think at my core, I'm a really playful person. I really enjoy taking care of people. I really love nurturing people, but I also really love like there's a part of me that's fire. Like I can be really soft and sweet and feminine, at least what I like define as feminine. And then there's the part to me that's like it's a fire. Like I have a nickname that it's funny that it just I don't even have to tell people this is my nickname and they just tend to call me this anyways. They tend to say like I'm a firecracker. Like I just got an award in my mastermind where it was like the firecracker award and that's me. So I think that's who I am like at the core is really soft and sweet and then just a firecracker in me who just who's just like life like it's exciting but also challenging but also fun but also just all the time. And then who I'm not someone who shies away from people. I'm not someone who shies away from challenge. I am not someone who doesn't enjoy like little pleasures in life. I definitely love all the little things of life, like just feeling the sun on your face. Like I'm in New Jersey, so like right now it's the it's like the height of winter and just going outside and feeling the sun on my face, right? I would not be someone who could just walk by when the sun's out and not feel it on my face, like I would not be that person. I'm not someone who's really rigid and like need structure and routine. I want it to change all the time. I want spontaneity and different things. Yeah, I would say that's probably a good way just to give you a picture of like
Yeah.
who I'm not.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. And my favorite part, I love it when you said I'm not someone who shies away from challenge.
Yeah.
That's like, yeah. Because when we remind ourselves like what our boundaries are, like, okay, this is a challenge, but I'm not going to shy away from it. I don't identify with that person. So here I am showing up to this challenge. It completely changes our behavior when we identify, or when we know when we don't identify with those things.
Yes, I know. Like I think that I love when someone gives like if they have a problem with me or something, right? Like say like someone like is not vibing with you or they have an issue with you, right? I'm like, let's like talk about this. Let's like get into this. Tell me your feelings. I'm a Pisces, so I'm very much like, tell me all your feelings. Tell me all of your emotions. So it's funny that I do numbers work because I am very much like a feeling type of person. So yeah, so when it comes to not shying away from challenges, I like to think of like, thinking of getting a challenge with a person and being like, let's talk about our feelings with this. What does
Yeah,
that feel like?
that's so Pisces. So that's your sun sign. What is your rising
Oh
sign? Do you
gosh.
know?
I don't
I
know. I
know.
know. I know I looked it up. I looked it up and
Okay.
I knew it.
Okay.
And then because all of my clients are always like, Shannon, you gotta know your rising. And I'm like,
You
oh,
got to
okay.
know your rising. And since you deal with numbers, like I feel like you might be a earth rising sign, like a
Oh,
Taurus would be perfect,
oh, my
or
daughter's a Taurus.
Capricorn, or
Oh,
Virgo. Ooh, even
yes.
Virgo would
And my
fit.
son's a Virgo. I swear,
Okay.
I
Okay.
think let's all guess and I will give
Yeah.
the results at the
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me later. Tell me later. All right, that's super exciting. I love to know people's the big three signs, because especially when we dive into these topics, it's like I could always see it in their energy and how they describe things and their personality. And so yeah, awesome stuff. So I want to start off with just like a little bit of your background. Like, how did you start your money journey? Like, are you one of those people where it was like really challenging and that's why you like dived into it deeper? Or like, what was that like? What was your financial awakening, so to speak?
my background goes from, I was a six-figure coach in 2018, 2019, and then my awakening was in like 2020, which I think a lot of people on this podcast you've talked to, COVID just did something to all of us here. I'm sure you listening can probably relate, have some story about COVID and how it changed you. And that's where mine like began. But that's also because I had my daughter then. So I was this six-figure coach and I tried for so long to get around this money thing. And what I mean by that is I tried to just make more, right? So I was like, when I make more money, that's when I'll be able to do the things like pay off debt and save, right? Get to these six-figure years. No, my debt actually went up. I had no savings. Right? Mind blowing. Like, how does that happen? And so, for so long, yeah, I was just trying to go around the problem. So, I always give this really good analogy that hits home with a lot of people when I say this is imagine you have a bucket and you're pouring water into it. Now, the bucket has a hole in it, so it's leaking, right? But you think, this is what I thought, I'll just pour more water into the bucket and then it won't leak, right? So you're thinking this way. When the truth is, the bucket is like your financial system, whether your system is a spreadsheet, whether your system is a money app, it's some type of container to hold your money. So I thought I had a bucket. I even tried like budgeting and stuff during those six-figure years, thinking that's what would help me. But my system had a hole in it. Like it wasn't working. And I didn't want to admit that to myself. I just wanted to try to pour more water into the bucket until finally I realized like this isn't working. Like what I have for my money is not working. What I'm doing with my money isn't working. And that all started in 2020 when I actually had my daughter. That was when it began right after I had her.
So interesting. And so, what did it look like, or what was the event where you started to take your power back? Was it doing a different budgeting
Mm.
system? Was it figuring out a different path, or like what was the action step there?
Yeah. So I think the first step really was me realizing, and so a lot of people listening here might have this belief, right? First, the belief I had to break was that because I have inconsistent income, I can't make big financial moves. I can't pay off my debt. I can't save money. I can't build wealth. I have inconsistent income. I have fluctuating income. How can I even budget? How can I even plan? And I was really trying at the time to budget too. So the first belief I broke was that I had to start there because I kept fulfilling this belief because I kept saying, no, 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 when my business gets to, like $10,000 cash every single month, that's when I can do it. That's when I can pay off my debt. And I had put all these beliefs and things before what I actually really wanted to do, which is pay off debt. I really just wanted to pay off debt. And I kept putting all these things before it. So I started to think about people who have inconsistent income. And I start to think about the richest people. Take a minute to think about this. The richest people in, say, America, right? What do they do for their work? Well, how do they make their money? They are all business owners. They all have fluctuating income, right? Like even Mark Zuckerberg doesn't know how much, whether it's like billions or millions next month. He doesn't know how much he's going to make next month down to the penny, right? You could look at Jeff Bezos, whether his 1 gajillion he makes next month, maybe it's 2 gajillion next month, right? But the point is that if small businesses didn't create wealth, no one would do it. The richest people in America wouldn't do it, right? So when I kind of started to realize, oh, wait a second. People build small businesses in America every single day and they become very wealthy. So it must just be this belief that I have within me that I'm like putting before the debt payoff goal. So that was the first step. And then the second step was realizing that the way I was managing my money was not the way that was going to get me to debt payoff. So what I was doing was what I like to call, stay with me here, okay, guys, this might get a little boring, but just stay with me, okay? So big revelation happening. I was doing something called passive budgeting. Passive budgeting is when you go to your spreadsheet twice a month. You go at the beginning of the month, you go at the end of the month. All you're doing is looking at the future for how you hope your money goes, which it never does, especially as an entrepreneur, right? And then when you come to the end of the month and look at your spreadsheet, all you're doing is looking at the past. So you're not adjusting as your money changes and fluctuates. When I started active budgeting, which means all I cared about was the money that was in my account right now. So let's say like Vanessa opens her account today and she has, $4,000 in it. All Vanessa needs to care about is what that money needs to do today and what she needs it to do before she gets paid again. Like the most important things. So I realized I was doing too much of budgeting that was just looking at the past and looking at the future and not just saying, what does my money need to do today? I don't even need to know how much I'm getting paid like next week. All I need to know is what is it doing today? And what do I need it to do today? So that was also like a big revelation that I had when it came to actually managing the money part.
Beautiful. And what were you doing for work during this time? Were you in the financial industry?
No, so I was business coaching. Those were my 6-figure
Oh, that's
years
right.
were
Okay.
business coaching. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So interesting. So, what is the romantic money method?
Yes. So I talk about all that boring stuff, right? Passive budgeting, active budgeting. And then it's like, oh my God, I have to look at my money every single day. I have to be like looking at what I'm spending every single day. I have to look at my account every single day and make decisions and right. And that just feels, oh, that feels terrible, right? It's like feels so draining. It feels so like, oh God, I don't want to do that. Right. So I am someone who's always been what I would say is like feminine. Like I like nice stuff. I like massages. I like facials. I like receiving. I like playing. I like creating. I like being in the la 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 of the world. I don't want to do too much. I'm not very productive in a sense, like I want to just be in the fun and creative and pleasure of the world. And when I kind of realized, okay, so my money system now has to change to this new active budgeting, how can I make this enjoyable? Like this was also the first year of my daughter's life, right? So it was like, this is the first year of my daughter's life. This is my first time being a parent. I'm also postpartum. I ended up getting pregnant 7 months postpartum. So then I'm pregnant again, right? And I have a little baby at home. And I'm like, this is my life, right? And I think you know this, Vanessa, that like we really value when you're really in touch with your soul and creativity. It's like this, you start to look at your life as like not just like another year and things you need to do, is like, this is my time on earth. And like, I don't want to spend it being miserable, especially not the first year of my daughter's life, especially not being pregnant with my son. So I was like, I have to make this fun and enjoyable. So for me, what it looked like was my money when I budgeted it, right? So if I go to my account and I see how much money I have in it, there always had to be money for me to enjoy. Even if it was just the smallest things. For me, it was like coffee. You know, I could go to the Starbucks drive through with my daughter. I could do that. Okay, I'm going to allow myself to do that on this journey. I'm going to allow myself to buy those fun, like skincare masks from Ulta. For some other clients, sometimes it's buying gemstones. For some other clients, or crystals, right? For some clients, it's investing in a horoscope coach or getting an intuitive reading, right? Things like that. Like, do not cancel out that part of life just to pay off debt. There's gonna be so many, you're gonna burn out, you're gonna not enjoy it, right? And so this really looks like values based spending. I want to put my money where I truly enjoy like these parts of life, and I'm gonna enjoy them even as I'm paying off debt.
So that's the romantic money method. It's
Yes.
literally just allowing yourself to have the things that you want and desire and make it work. Is
Yes.
that kind of like the summary of it?
Yes, basically. That's the
Beautiful.
overall summary of
Beautiful.
it. Yeah, is that you
Okay,
get to enjoy money
cool.
as you pay off debt. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I think that's so important to highlight because most people who listen to like what is his name? Dave Ramsey.
Ramsey. I'm anti Dave Ramsey. I should have said the beginning of the podcast.
Oh my God. I mean, like when I thought about that, like when I was going to try to pay off debt, I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen to all his
I
episodes and
know.
like, let me just see how much I could learn. And
Yeah.
it just intuitively, it was like,
No.
I couldn't hear it. I couldn't deal with it. There was something so misaligned with my soul with his method. I know it's worked for other people, rice and ramen and beans or whatever he says, but it's like this restriction or it's just like this punishment um energy around how he teaches, paying off your debt. So anyway, what we didn't plan on going down this route, but I feel like you have some thoughts about Ramsey without negatively speaking about it, but just why doesn't that theory or concept work for so many of us, especially women?
Yes. I find that a lot of women are, like when I look at my clients, I call them high value women, which are women who invest in themselves, women who like to take care of themselves. I was on a budgeting summit the other day and I was talking with the host, and she had gone on this really restrictive budgeting debt payoff. And she was like, I think I burned myself out from doing that. She did it fast, and it was amazing. She paid off $45,000 of debt in 17 months, which was incredible. But she said, I think I burned myself out. And so as I'm talking to her, she was like, so how do women put themselves first? I was like, what do you mean there's women that don't? Like, wait, like there's women that don't? Just so blown away by that statement. I was like, what?
By the way, I think you're a Taurus sun. I have to say this at this point. I go back, we'll look later, but I think you're a Taurus, not sun. I think you're a Taurus rising or moon.
Oh God.
Just because like feminine money and if Venus was your ruling planet, it would make so much sense. And you're like, I love massages and like treating myself and valuing things. Anyway, back to
Okay.
wow, there's women that don't put themselves
Yeah.
first. Like that's such a Taurus rising perspective. But anyway, go back to that.
Okay. So back to that. So I look at it as like, there's got to be a way to enjoy this journey, right? Like the same thing that I said, like, this is a year of your life, right? Like this is a year of your, sometimes it's 2 years, sometimes it's 3 years of your life. And you know how precious time is, especially if like when you become a mother, or even if you have something happen in life that just like shakes you, right? And you're like, wow, life is short. And like, I'm really not going to enjoy my life because of debt. And I think that also goes back to my relationship with money is I'm always like, I'm not going to allow money to control me. Like I get to enjoy life, whether money is here or not, or whether I'm in debt or not, there's still going to be aspects to my life that I still get to enjoy, and money will not call the shots on that. And like, I feel like that's something that I've really taken with me. It was something that hit me when I had my first business, I think, or maybe it was after I sold that business. So I had a business that I sold when I was 30, and it was like around that time. And I remember thinking, yeah, I'm just not going to let money tell me like what to do or control me anymore. And I think Dave Ramsey's method is all about money calls the shots in everything you can or can't do, right? Like it's just like, and you just think, oh God, like in your body, it's just like, oh no, 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 Dave, we don't follow that here. Like that is not our thing. That is not what we subscribe to. And I think there's some women that's within us. Like,
Yeah. And it's
no,
the energy of it too. It's like, because we're not saying, his stuff doesn't work. Because I think a
his
lot of
stuff
people,
works.
yeah, I think,
Yeah,
yeah, a lot of people have made it work. But like the person you were speaking about, she was like, I'm burned out. Like clearly there was some type of cost that took us a toll on her energy, her mindset, her,
mm-hmm.
who knows, physicality, maybe her relationships. We don't know what it
Right.
costed her following that perspective. And I'm not saying his method is wrong or don't follow it. Just follow your intuition. But
Yeah.
this is why I wanted to have Shannon on, because she has like such this different perspective. I want to talk about some of the fears or misconceptions that people have about either hiring a financial coach like yourself
Mm.
or just money management in general, either way.
Yeah. I think the big fear that I've seen time and time and time again is always, well, like I don't make enough money. I don't make enough money. I don't make enough money. And like sometimes that is true. But yes, definitely. There have been people who've come to me, we've run the numbers, and I've said, you know what? Yeah, you should go to work with this person or this person to make your business a little bit better, or look at your revenue, whatever, right? Like there's definitely times when that is true. But I think looking at that fear first, like, what's great about numbers is they don't lie. Like they're not going to lie to you like people. I won't lie, right? Like we're going to lie to ourselves, but your numbers won't lie to you. So when people come with that fear, I'm always like, you know what? Let's just look at the numbers, and the numbers will tell us. And you're right. Maybe you do need to make more money. Maybe you do need to do that, right? But a lot of times, you'll surprisingly, when I run those numbers, I find a lot of women who find an extra like $3,000 to $5,000. They're like, uh, where's that money going? And I'm like, that's what you hired me for. That's what we're going to work through in our coaching, right? So just look at whenever it comes to fear, it's like fear can lie, fear can distort, fear can do all these things, but numbers can't, numbers won't. Just the best part about it is like the simplest and easiest way to cut through the noise is numbers will just tell you exactly where your money is going. Um, that's the biggest one that I see people come to me. And also just a fear around looking at money, like that is obviously the biggest fear is
Like
like,
feeling vulnerable around it
oh yeah,
or guilty, is that like a thing, or what do you think?
I think it's more of shame that comes up.
Shame. Okay.
Shame. Yeah, big time. Shame is like the biggest emotion I see with people who come to me or people who are interested in working with me, but they're scared. And the biggest emotion that comes up is shame. Like, I did something wrong. I did it wrong. Um, yeah, just feeling like they messed up somewhere. Um, they did wrong and they shouldn't have done that. Shame, so big, so big. And that's an emotion that I really have to work through with a lot of clients. And I find that it's more of like shame keeps growing the more you just hide from your numbers.
Right.
Yeah. Right. It's like
Yeah,
keep it in the dark,
absolutely. Yeah.
keep it over here.
Because, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Because I think the antidote to shame is self-compassion and then
Mm.
action
Yes.
together.
Yes.
Try not to have a gap between the self-compassion, because now you're just like, oh, poor me, oh well, I dealt with a lot, and then you don't take action. But if you can like have self-compassion and action to change the behavior, then you've learned from the lesson, and then that shame releases. What's your thought? Like, what do you see happening when people do come and they're in that space? You could feel that shame that they're in. What's their transformation? What does it look like? Is it self-compassion, or do they just kind of, is it just the clarity that starts to fix everything, and then they're
Yeah.
like, they just release the shame? What does it look like?
Yeah, I think you knew exactly where I was going. So when there's a lot of shame, there's clarity. Like that, I just go straight to like, let's just let's just look at the numbers. All right, we're just going to write down the numbers. And typically whatever they think in their head that they think it's gotten like so bad and that there's nothing and they can't figure it out and they're in so much debt that it can never be better. And like when we just write down all of their numbers, so I do something where I take all of their assets, if they own a house or cars or whatever, right? Where else do you have money? Sometimes they figure out they have money in accounts they totally forgot about. Sometimes they realize, oh, their savings could cover a month of expenses and they didn't know it could. Sometimes it's like, oh, I have money over here. Oh, I forgot I invested in these. I had one client who invested in gold bars and like totally forgot she invested in gold. And I was like, well, let's see how much the gold is worth. Like it's
How do
little
you
things.
forget that though? That's another story. No shame, no shame. Life is busy. That's all we're gonna say. I'm gonna have compassion, yeah. But that's so funny. Like, you bought gold bars because that's such a big
Yes.
investment. That's such an intentional investment. I think that's why I
Yes.
made that comment. Not to be rude, everyone, but I think I made that comment because I'm like, that's a strategic, intentional thing that you
Investment.
buy. It's not just buying a laptop.
Because I think it's like you could put them away. She had them like hidden in a safe somewhere and she just forgot. Like she just forgot that she had the gold bars. Like I was like, okay, real like trying to, on our first call, I'm always trying to get all the assets and trying to like pull their brain and be like, okay, like where else could you have money? What else could you? And she was just like, wait a second. We bought gold bars and silver. They had gold and silver bars. And I was like, what? You did? She's like, oh my God, wait. And what ended up happening with that client was that she ended up realizing that she took all of the extra, like, not all of it, but she took a good chunk from her profit from last year and invested it in the gold and the silver. And then she had gotten into credit card debt because she hadn't realized that's where she spent the profitability was in the gold and the silver
Whoa.
bars. Like,
Okay.
right. It's so simple. And that clarity, though, is like, it's so simple and easy.
Yeah.
But
But
we
this
can't
is
do
why
it.
we need someone outside of ourselves. Because I mean, I think the modern man and woman, we're so inundated with stuff. Like,
Oh my
we have
God.
way too much information that we could actually digest or implement. Our responsibilities are up the roof and always changing. And it's like, our self-care. Like, have you seen those Instagram videos where someone's like, they have like the red light mask on and they're doing the lymphatic, I don't know, vibrator thing that they're standing on. And then, it's like they're just overloading themselves. Like, but that's kind of how I think a lot of us are kind of moving. We're all trying to keep up. Everything's so fast paced. So we're constantly multitasking or doing so much stuff at once for career, for personal relationships. And I think that's where the other person comes in is we get on a call with them or you, or I get on a call with you and we hone in, and there's so much focus on what we're talking about that even though I have a million other things, I dedicate that time to figuring out, the numbers, getting the clarity, all the things, because I think that that's just when I think that's the thing that robs people of the clarity is not having dedicated time or a person to help them. Either way, what do you think?
Yes, that is exactly what I create for my clients. But that's like, I'm like, listen, it was 1 hour a week. I meet with my clients. The first 8 weeks, I meet with them every single week for 1 hour. And I think of it like that. Like, this is 1 hour you are dedicating to not only building a system, like where I'm building a budgeting system with them and I'm going through their numbers, but it's like 1 hour solely dedicated to just diving into that work and just really thinking about it. And I think it's so true that I feel like so many people feel like there's so much on our plates nowadays, right? It's like the phone is like pinging, and then it's Google Calendar reminders, and it's meetings, and then it's this, and then it's that, and then it's putting on your face mask, and then it's it's so much. It's so much. So just to have an hour to focus on one aspect of your life, and for me, it happens to be money and finances, and to think about just to dedicate 1 hour of your life for 8 weeks. And I see these phenomenal transformations just within that 8 weeks because it's just the container to come there and that's it. Like my work, what I like about it is clean, simple. Like you don't need to go do a course in my thing, and you don't need to take a video on my thing, because I just want it to be as clean, as simple as possible. Like I just want my clients to come, and I already know, most of my clients are breadwinning entrepreneur moms. They have so much on their plates. They're carrying businesses and motherhood and kids' activities and relationships and right on and on and on and on. And I think here's 1 hour I can give to them, solely focused on them, where we're solely looking at one aspect of their life, and they can walk away and they can say, like, thank God. Okay, we've gotten that taken care of, and now I can move on. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally get that. I want to jump back to one more misconception. What do you think is one of the most misconceptions around wealth building? Besides, like, we're talking about paying off debt and budgeting and working with the money that you have on a day-to-day basis. Like some people, or maybe many people have like these big goals of actually building large sums of wealth or large sums of abundance. But are there any misconceptions there as well, or fears?
Yes. Oh, this brings to my favorite, one of my favorite books, basically. So just a little background. So I come from a single mother in what I would say was, we were definitely in poverty. Right. Like she was a single mother. So there was no money for school or anything. I had to put myself through college. I had to pay for my own first car. Money was definitely very much a struggle. And I thought the only, as far as I would go, would be like to get a 9 to 5 job and buy a regular home. And where I stand today, I have over 3 million in net worth, and I own 2 properties, both by the ocean. And it's fantastic. But I had to understand that wealth wasn't just for whoever idea you have in your head, like whether it's for like, some type of person. This type of person gets to build wealth. The CEO of a company, whoever you envision as that person, like it's a CEO of a company. It's a white middle-aged man, it's whatever that vision you have is like, oh, they could build wealth, is try to dismantle that as much as possible. I was able to dismantle that by reading this book called The Millionaires Next Door. And that book is about regular people who are millionaires. They do not look like millionaires. They did not build their net worth. They're not flashy. They did not build their net worth by like having to be the big CEO, by having to make a whole bunch of money. They built it quietly, and they built it by just living like a normal life. And he talks about people that were teachers that became millionaires. He talks about people that were like marketing advertisers. He talks about regular everyday people, like live in a
Wow.
regular house, drive a regular car, millionaires.
I love that because most people would not assume that a regular teacher can get into the millions, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No. And it's
So
it's
I
funny because
love
you
that.
assume that, you immediately take yourself out of that equation, right? I can't do
Yeah.
that because I'm not this. I immediately take yourself out of being able to do it. Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
Okay. And the name of the book again?
The Millionaire Next Door. I said millionaires
Okay.
before. Millionaire Next Door. That's
Amazing.
what's the right thing.
Amazing. Thank you for that. I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
All right. So, any other wisdoms, even if we haven't covered it directly, is there any other message that you have for us around abundance, money, overflow, breaking through, anything like that?
Oh God. If I could just have one woman walk away from listening to this podcast episode and go and check her credit card statement, go and look at her bank account, do something, right? for her financial health, whether it's looking at the credit card statement, checking your checking account balance, and you haven't in a long time, figuring out what your credit card balance APR is. That would be like a great step. Figuring out how much your net worth is. Walk away from this podcast episode doing that. That would be like a win. Like, as long as we are coming out from the shame and the darkness and we are bringing it out into the light, I feel like there's no, like there's so much abundance to be had through taking care of ourselves financially. So much abundance.
Yeah. Yes. And so I interpret things so differently sometimes, maybe because I'm neurodivergent. So my interpretation of what Shannon just said is rebuild your relationship with money, and do it through action steps of, yes, looking at your credit card balance, looking at your APR, that, and even if you feel like you're doing enough, because I feel like I'm one of the people where I'm kind of like, I'm doing enough, but I was doing enough probably for where I was 6 months ago. I probably have an expanded capacity where I can continue to rebuild my relationship with money and look at it more and check on it more and dance with it, like theoretic or figuratively, like just rebuilding that relationship with money. And I think that goes back to that romance, or that romantic energy that you had around the money method. It's like making it pleasurable, making it valuable, and more of an intimate relationship, instead of money being like this dictator standing over our heads. It's like we just change the relationship. I feel like if we just change the relationship with money, that shifts everything. That's how I'm interpreting, and that's what I'm gaining from your share today.
Yes, you reminded me actually that what I do with some of my clients, if they come with a lot of anxiety and fear and shame around money, is we set up some rituals. So before you say, like, go check your, your credit card statement, if you are feeling like super nervous and super scared, put on like your comfiest pair of clothes, get a cozy blanket, light a candle. It's romanticizing it, right? Like, it's making it be like this thing that's not like this, and people think of checking their credit, it's like, ugh, like their bodies immediately contract, right? But setting the environment to feel safe and cozy and romantic. So when you do check your credit card statement, your body can feel safe in the moment. Your body can feel supported. Your body can feel soft. Like, that to me is something I also practice with my clients. And I feel like it's made such a difference. It goes from being this thing of, I have to check it and spreadsheets and things like that, to being like, this gets to feel as good as a bubble bath. Like, I get to check it and I get to feel as good as I'm being supported and taken care of right now.
I love that. That's like a game changer. And it gave me an idea, because I'm such a beach girl. Most of the time I'm either living somewhere in Mexico, Cancun, Tulum, I don't know, wherever. I'm not there now. I'm in California, but the next time, maybe I'm just thinking, being at the beach, having my toes in the sand and the water, and just kind of being out there in the sun and soaking everything up, and just having my phone and my notebook, and like kind of going through things. Like, even that would be a game changer for me, because I just thought, like, in the future, what I would feel like when that exercise was done. And I just felt like how amazing I felt.
Yes.
And how supported I felt by the ocean, the beach, the sand, the palm trees. So that's a game changer. I love that. And of course, if you're at home, just do what Shannon said, like put on the comfy pants, light the candle, grab your doggy and your tea, whatever, whatever like is comfy. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, so amazing. So this conversation has been so lovely. If this resonates with you, please reach out with Shannon, connect with her. We have her Instagram page here in the description. She has her own podcast. What's your podcast called?
Okay, I just changed the name of it, so I may mess it up. Originally, it was called Financially Fearless, so I don't know if it's still Spotify searchable under Financially Fearless, but I just changed the name to Debt Free Female Entrepreneurs. So search for both those names. Pretty sure it's Debt Free Female Entrepreneurs now.
Way to niche down, though. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It's. I mean, fearless. The fearless one was nice, but this one's like very specific. Okay. Specific. Back to her links. Yes, Instagram, and we have her website. It's ShannonDePalma.com. Her last name is spelled DEPALMA.com. Restrictive.com. That's the website. And what is one powerful way that people can work with you? A certain program or community?
I have one offer that I offer, and it is my 3-month one-on-one coaching container. So I work with my clients once a week for 8 weeks, and then we do like a bi-weekly coaching in the last month. And it is the most powerful way to it is the fastest transformation I would say that I've ever got for clients. Like within 8 weeks, I've seen clients save up, over $5,000 to $10,000. I've seen clients pay off $60,000 of debt. I've seen clients pay off $15,000 of debt. I currently have, okay, listen to this very close. I currently have 100% ROI on my investment. So every single client that has come to me has made their investment back, and usually more, but at least their investment back or more when they've worked with me. I'm very proud of that.
OMG, that is amazing. You
Thank
go,
you.
girl, because this is exactly
Thank
what we
you.
need. This, and I feel like so many women, everyone needs money. I don't know, money healing or abundance. Like we all need to work with our money, but especially like us women entrepreneurs or conscious women or the modern woman. So thank you so much for offering this to the collective. I love it. I almost, because you did a book recommendation earlier, I
Mm,
typically ask my guests if they want to leave us with a book rec or a quote. So if you have a quote, you can give us that since you already gave us a book rec, or if you
yes.
have another book, that can work too. Whatever
Oh
floats
boy.
your boat.
Okay. Okay. Definitely The Millionaire Next Door. I mean, that completely just changed how I was thinking about, when I could build wealth, how I could build wealth, understanding I could build it right there in that moment.
Mm.
Truly changed my life. I read that when I was pregnant with my daughter. So it was like just a couple months before I started my debt payoff journey. So that really fueled within me. Is there like a special quoter? But that book is always the book, like it's always my go-to. So I think I'm gonna leave it at that. That's my book.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's the mic
changed my
drop. I
life.
love it. I'm
Yeah.
gonna put that on my list too because I haven't read that one yet. So, thank you, Shannon, for coming on the show. It was such an honor to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me on, Vanessa. This was so fun. Thank you so much, the
Yes.
listeners, too. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, everyone, thank you for listening. If you love this show, please leave the show a comment, a review, a 5-star review. We would love that. Or just share this episode with at least one friend. I know one person in your circle needs to actually hear this conversation. Like this is their medicine for today, and you know who they are. So go ahead and shoot them the link. Namaste, everyone. Have a great day.